Hi, this is Vicki from Grandma B's Junk Journals. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Today we are working on some collage art. This is my third video in this series, and today we're going to be using some jumbo playing cards as the substrate, which is the foundation or the base of the collage. And you would be able to use these in your junk journals for journaling cards or photo cards or pockets. You could use them as a postcard and put them in an envelope and send them in the mail to friends and family. So there's lots of different things that you could use them for. So I'm going to quickly go through a stack that I created from this little book, Farm ABC. This is the cutest book ever. Again, it was on my shelf in my stash, and I originally bought it to make a junk journal, and I've got so many that I'm challenging myself to get them off my shelf and make some creations with them. Now the cover of this book is in really good shape, so I will probably someday make a junk journal with this and the leftover pages that I have in the book. But for today, I did take some of the pages out, and that's what we're going to use for the focal point of these projects. So the two packs of jumbo cards I am using are these, and they were from thrift stores. So this is about, I think it's about 3 by 4. This is a great size. And I also love these big jumbo cards. They are 5 by 7. You get so many of them, and I have made other videos using these in collage projects. I paid $1.50 for this. I think there's 52 in a deck, and they're so sturdy, and it's such a good deal for the money, and you can just use them for so many different projects. So if you see these at thrift stores, auctions, yard sales this summer, wherever, pick them up, because you can do so many things with them. And I sew through them on my sewing machine, and it's just great. There's no problems whatsoever. So in this project, I am using these two right here. So I will go through the cards that I created. All right, the first one was using the smaller of the two decks. So the 3 by 4, I believe it was. And then on the back, this is what it looks like. So I put this ledger paper here for journaling spots. You could also put a photo. Now before I show you the rest of them, I am gonna just kind of explain what that is. So in the larger cards, I used papers from this book on the back, and it's in 1967. This I got at an auction, and look at this. Somebody took very, very good notes on expenses for whatever. I haven't really, looked at it closely, but I don't know. So I don't know if it's, personal or if it's business related, but there are a lot of blank paper. So I just pulled some of those out, and I am using them to put on the back of the large cards like this, just for writing spots. And then for the smaller cards at an auction, I believe it was, I got several of these smaller, I don't know, maybe they're 7 by 4 or something like this, but I love these. You can pick them up sometimes very, very cheap, and there's several layers to each one, and you can just cut them, tear them out and use them in your junk journals. They're great. Now what I did was I tore some out, and then I cut it down just so I could use the blank on the back of the cards. Okay, so if you see these anywhere, thrift stores, yard sales, auctions, whatever, pick them up, because you can use them. You can use them So that's what I have on the back. And then I'll go ahead and go through these. So these I have lots of different embellishments. So for the base, okay, so we have our cards for the substrate. I have text page on the back, and I have some music sheets. I have a vintage children's book page. You know, I love those, so I'm using some of my books up. I have some little pieces of scrapbook paper. And I have this, in this project today, I have used a piece of napkin on all of them. Now, I have been, in the last couple of videos, I have been using these prompts from Marguerite Miller, and I've talked about her. So I've just been pulling one of the prompts, at least one, sometimes more than one, from her sheet that she has available on her videos for downloads. So today I am using from the prompt a napkin. So I've got several different kind of napkins that I'm using. Now there are other prompts that I'm using as well, like the music sheet, the children's page, but the one that I hadn't used in the other two videos was a napkin. Okay. And here's another one. So what is neat about this book, so it's Farm ABC, so it goes through the letters of the alphabet. So O is for orchard. We prune and we spray, then we gather the fruit on a bright summer's day. So on all of these little tags, I have cut out the letter and then the text that goes with it. So that is a fun book. So like this one was J is the jam Mother makes for the fair, okay? N is for nature. This is another cute picture. Wee bunnies running, butterflies, bugs, okay? So again, we have the music sheet, we have the napkin, book page, let's see, some some scrapbook paper, and then the embellishments here is the rickrack, a little piece of lace with a button, and then I sewed around it. And then for this one, here's the napkin, the text page, the scrapbook paper, the book page. A is for acres. Our farm has many. And then I went ahead and I sewed. And I have a piece of lace and a button for embellishments. And then, oh, this one I put upside down. I didn't want to show you that, but pay attention don't make this mistake that I did. I wasn't paying attention, and so it's upside down, but that's okay. That works just fine. And then this little one, that's the back, and then I just added some lace and some buttons. W is for work. There is much to be done. And then the blue is the napkin, the book page. So that is what we are making. We're going to make one today together. And I've chosen the big card, and I've already glued this big ledger paper on here. I wanted it to dry good, so then I could go ahead and cut it out. Now, if you noticed, I did ink up all of the edges on all of the different pieces, the layers, and around the outside of the card. Okay. Get rid of all of the scraps. All right, so that's the back. And then we have the front. So I'm going to get out one of these other ones. And the first thing I did was put the text paper down. And I did already tear one out. I'm going to use the Tim Holtz Distress ink. This one is Vintage Photo. That is what I use most of the time, to be quite honest. I really love that. And you could cover the whole card. You could just put little pieces And I've just chosen a little bit bigger piece just for the base of it. And I'm going to use the stick glue, UHU stick glue. And I just got that from Amazon, but I'm sure you can get it anywhere that you get your craft supplies. Now this paper is very old, so it tears easy. I'm also going to get very sticky today, but I'm going to go ahead and put extra glue on my card just to give it a little bit more stickiness here. Okay, so that is the text page. Then the music sheet, which is right here. Now I have some scraps here, and I'm just gonna tear some of this and use these scraps. You can put them, of course, anywhere you want. I'm just gonna kind of put it like that. And I'm just gonna put glue right on my card. I think it will be easier for me. Before I stick it down, I'm gonna give it a little bit of ink. Now a lot of this will be covered up, but I do like the look of the extra ink. Okay. All right, then let's see. We've got the napkin. So today I'm going to use a little bit of this red striped. And so what you want to do, what I like to do, there's 2 different layers. Sometimes you have 3 layers, but what I've been doing seems to be working is tearing a little bit, and then that kind of opens this up because you want to tear it apart gently. And then you want this back off because you just want that top layer. Now you can definitely keep that back layer and use in other collages. And then I'm just going to tear some of this because I don't necessarily want straight edges, although you certainly can put straight edge. But I just want it, you know, kind of rough looking. So I want the torn edges. So let's see, that's torn. This is not torn. So I'm going to tear some of this. I don't know. Maybe like that. Like I said, most of it's going to be covered up anyways. Now I'm going to go ahead and just put glue right on the base, right on the card here. And it's going to dry nicely anyways. And then I'm just going to lay this down like this. And then flatten it out. Rub it down, and then if there's any edges, lift it up because I didn't get enough glue. Just add some more glue, and it's absolutely okay to put glue on top or underneath, whatever works best. Okay, so you can still see through it. Okay, so then let's see. So there's my napkin. And I'm gonna go ahead. I want to see where this is gonna go. I'm probably gonna put it maybe like around like that. I am probably going to put this up here someplace, and the other words, Q is for quartet. That means there are 4 of these smart little puppies. We wish there were more. So I'll probably put that down at the bottom down here, and I'll put that up there someplace. Now what I did with some of them was I glued these right on some colored paper to kind of give it a background so it didn't get lost in the page. So I think I'll go ahead and do that. I am going to ink up around it, and that will kind of help to make it pop. okay? And then I'm going to add some glue and just put it right on this scrap paper. And then what I'll do is just tear around the scrap paper to make it a little bit smaller. And then we'll end up putting it up there somewhere up there, but I'll go ahead and ink this up as well. Now I didn't ink the page here, so I'm gonna wanna do that just to help it stand out a little bit. I don't want it to totally mesh into the background. Now you could use any colors to ink up the outside. Maybe you want a green or a blue. You know, there's lots of distress ink colors, so you could definitely use other colors. I tend to go with the vintage look. And all right, now I'm gonna go ahead and get a few pieces of scrapbook paper to put on the back before I put my little children down. And then again, I'm just taking some scraps from my scrap basket from other projects, and I'm gonna just ink it up. And I will just add a few pieces of paper here and there just to, you know, have it peeking out. You know, there's tons of different ways to collage. I've been watching tons of videos, getting all kinds of inspiration. And it's fun to see how different people do it. Like I've said, I kind of gravitate for children, you know, towards children and book pages. I spent so many years in my elementary classroom reading books that it's kind of, being retired, it's kind of hard to get out of the children's book mode, you know. So you know, there's no right, there's no wrong here. I'm just playing here, so we'll see if it's gonna turn out okay or not. Now these will be used in future junk journals, and I will probably definitely use some for tags. There are a couple maybe I might use as side pockets. If I have a birthday, any of my friends that are out there that have, you know, farms, these would make great little cards. You could just put a happy birthday stamp or sticker on here. I kind of want to keep that. I just like that. I love the 1957. It's, you know, kind of reflecting off the children on the year that they're in right there. And actually that book is, I believe it's a 1954 book, 1950s for sure. So let's see, I think I'm going to do a different color of, yeah, I've got a little bit of blue there, so I think I'm going to use this blue for the other words. And put that down. Okay, so I've glued it down on this scrap paper. I don't want it that big. That will take up too much real estate on that cute picture, so we don't want that. I'll just kind of tear it down a little bit. Perfect. That will be perfect. Okay, so then I'm going to glue this down, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to my sewing machine and stitch around it, and I will also put a few embellishments. Now the last two videos I did not put embellishments because I thought I might mail some of them. These projects here are probably going to go into journals, so I did embellish. You do not have to. If you don't have a sewing machine to go around, you could use a marker and just put lines to make it look like it was sewing. Now this is a zigzag stitch, and this is just a straight stitch. That's what that would look like. So here you go. Here is the base of my card. And I believe I have everything on my list, and I'm just gonna go sew around it, add some lace, add some buttons, and be back with you. So here is the finished card, and we will review what we added to it today. So the base is the plain card. Then we had some text. We added a napkin, the red and white striped napkin. We had some scrapbook paper. We had a book page, and then we cut out the text that was on the page and added that. Let's see, scrapbook paper, I sewed around it, which you would not have to do. I've added some rickrack. I just laid it on, and then I sewed on top of it, and then I hot glued a button that coordinated with the yellow that was in the image. So there you have it. That is our card that we made today. So if this inspired you at all, motivated you to get some things from your stash, get a book off your shelf, then if you could please like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.